You ever have that show where someone will come up to you and ask you, hey, what do you think of this? And the only thing you can say in return is, it's complicated? Yeah, I've got a few of those myself. For me, the answer is most certainly yes. I've got quite a few of them, like Alan Gregory, The Middle, Poketown, but perhaps the show I feel the most complicated feelings towards is going to be the subject of today's video. I'm not sure if any of you heard of it because it's extremely obscure. The network it was on basically tries to forget it ever existed. But I don't forget, I remember. That show is Mike, Lou, and Og. This came towards the end of the cartoon lineup on Cartoon Network. You know, back when all the shows lasted 1, maybe 2 seasons and then were completely scrubbed off the schedule. You know the shows, Robot Jones, Time Squad, Sheep in the Big City. Mike, Lou, and Og is from the exact same crew. It got canned very quickly after basically nobody watched it. It's not like the network abandoned it or anything either, they kept promoting it till the end. It's just that nobody was interested. Nobody gave it a shot. Nobody wanted to give it a shot. We'll touch more on that a little bit later, but now, you're probably asking, do I like Mike, Lou, and Og? It's complicated. It's very, very complicated. Honestly, I had a hard time figuring out what I even thought of it. It took days for me to figure it out, but now that I know, let me tell you a little bit about Mike, Lou, and Og. The show is about this girl named Mike. Yeah, a girl named Mike. I don't know, probably short for Michelle or something. She goes on this foreign exchange program to this small island that nobody's ever heard of. The island inhabitants aren't actually Polynesians. They're survivors of a British shipwreck. And these people kinda set up shop here and they're trying to emulate island life, while not really doing a good job of it, but that's not really talked about too much in the show, so let's not talk about it here. Aside from the island setting, Mike, Lou, and Og is basically the story of the city girl going to the country life. Only this time, instead of the country, it's a far-off distant island that nobody's ever been to. Which makes you think, how did this get added to the foreign exchange program? Let's not think about that. And I mean it, that's really all the show is. Mike is introduced to something that the islanders do, she remembers something from back home, she tries to introduce it to the islanders, and hijinks ensue. And by hijinks, I mean like hijink, as in singular. The show is extremely uneventful. Stories don't really go anywhere, honestly. That's not really a bad thing, but I can definitely see why that wouldn't capture the general audience. See, Cartoon Network was known for shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Edda and Eddie, Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls. You know, action-packed, fast-paced shows. Mike, Lou, and Og moves at a snail's pace, but it does so intentionally. Mike, Lou, and Og is not supposed to be this fast-paced, action-packed show. It's supposed to be a simple show about island life, and for the record, I think it does it fine, I think, because yeah, the show is extremely boring, but it's so boring that it's interesting. Now I know what you're thinking, how is that even possible? Well, it is possible. Mike, Lou, and Og does it. It's almost a bit of a relaxing show. You turn it on, you watch the characters derp around for 11 to 22 minutes, and then that's the end. Simple as that. This is the perfect kind of show to fall asleep to. Now, I know that sounds like an insult, but it's really not, I promise. Mike, Lou, and Og is so Mike, Lou, and Og-y that when you watch it, you can kind of just zone out or close your eyes and sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. But then it also comes with a caveat that, at least for me, when you watch one episode or two, you kind of have your fill. A lot of the episodes have the exact same formula, so you can tell where they're going most of the time. The show doesn't offer really anything when it comes to surprises. That, combined with how slow and uneventful it is, makes it a very filling show, so to speak. Not necessarily fulfilling, just filling. I personally couldn't marathon this show. I tried, but I could only get about 2 or 3 episodes in the first time, and then I thought, you know, I think I'm fine, I'll watch more tomorrow. And then I did, and then I couldn't marathon it that day either, or the next, or the next, or the next, and you see where this is going. It's not that it's hard to watch, it's just that you watch a little bit and you're good. It's like eating peanut butter. That stuff fills you up like crazy. I'm also super mixed about the writing itself. The way I can describe the tone of Mike, Lou, and Og is Peanuts meets Rugrats. I love Peanuts, and I think Rugrats is decent. Not really for me, but decent. So I appreciate the tone it goes for, and the deadpan humor it has, but it doesn't really do anything beyond that. For a while, I've been trying to think, what do these two shows do right with their tone, and Mike, Lou, and Og only does half right. And I think I figured out what it is. It's the versatile writing. See, in Charlie Brown specials, we never just get Charlie Brown walking around doing Charlie Brown things. We often get Snoopy intermixed, or Lucien Schroeder, or the other characters mixing in with Charlie Brown's antics. Or more often than not, the other characters mixing Charlie Brown into their antics. Same thing with Rugrats, too. We get focus on the adults, and they offer completely different styles of humor. That, and the babies don't just derp around being babies. They have their imaginations, and they go through real conflicts. At least as real as babies could go through. They're not gonna have, like, drug addiction or something. That would be a really weird episode. I'd have to see that. Mike, Lou, and Og doesn't have that. It's just Mike being Mike, Lou being Lou, Og being Og, everyone else being everyone else, and that's it. Or if you want a more similar comparison, let's look at another slice of life show, Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold has well-made characters that have 3 dimensions, metaphorically speaking of course, and they do things. Not every episode is the exact same thing. It's not always Arnold going, hey, guess what? Back in my old hometown, we used to do this. And then everyone does that. But enough with the comparisons, let's get back to the show itself. Laid-back slice-of-life shows like this are always built off of their characters. And that's kind of where Mike, Lou, and Og falters again. They're not bad characters, at least for the most part. Looking at you, Lou, we'll get to you in a second. But they're nothing special. Mike is just your average teenage girl, and that's it. She's from the city, she knows the city, and that's kind of it. She's maybe slightly a bit of a tomboy because she likes comic books and sports, but that's kind of it. She's always the instigator because she likes the city. That's it. That's her only character trait. Still, she's kind of a likable character if I'm being honest. She serves as the straight man, or straight woman, and she gets some good laughs at times. And I gotta compliment her voice actress on her performance. This is the same woman who plays Olga Pataki in Hey Arnold, and Luna Loud in The Loud House. Take a listen, you can't unhear it.
Look, Princess Pouty, I don't know who stole it, and neither do you, but I know one thing. It wasn't me.
Next, we have Og, who's basically Jimmy Neutron if he was socially awkward. He knows how to build a lot of things, he knows a lot of things, and that's it. It's really all he is. He doesn't talk too much, he doesn't really do much outside of being smart. He's just Og, the typical boy genius stereotype. He's not bad, but he's also not good either. Lancelot, Lou's pet turtle, is my personal favorite character. Mostly because I feel extremely bad for the poor guy. He keeps getting kicked around, pushed around, slapped around, every kind of around you could possibly think of. But he still keeps coming back for more. He's smart, but he can't talk, so he has to pantomime a lot of things, and people can more often than not understand him. He's got personality, even though he can't talk. The other islanders are other islanders. They're all kind of the same. They're all quirky and weird, but each in a different way. They're not exceptionally funny or interesting, but they're far from offensive. The only character I don't like is Lou, the self-proclaimed princess of the island. Even though, as far as I'm aware, that's not actually true, but oh well, let's let her have this. Actually, no, let's not, because she's an awful character. The whole point of her is, I'm so pretty, I'm so great, I'm better than you, and half the time she doesn't even get her comeuppance. She serves as the antagonist for a lot of the episodes, or at least a rival sort of thing, or thorn in the side of Mike and the others, but again, she never gets what's coming to her. She never really learns her lesson. She's just there. And it's not even really her being misguided. A lot of the time it's just her being malicious. Like, if you look at the pilot episode, it's all about her pushing Lancelot around when he's driving her car, or pushing Og around when he's building the car, complaining, whining, all that sort of stuff. I'm not saying Nancy Cartwright does a bad job playing Lou, it's just that, while she's unsympathetic, uninteresting, mean, and shouts a lot, that's really it. But you know what, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, so good on you, Mike and Og. The one thing I'm not mixed on, though, is the art style. I really like its simplistic yet artistic design. Just like the tone of the show, it's basically Rugrats meets Peanuts. It almost reminds me of one of those children's picture books, especially in the theme song. Take a look, with all the fonts and the character designs. Doesn't this look like a kind of book you'd find in a preschool classroom? It does to me, at least. I hope it does to you, otherwise that means I'm crazy. Please tell me I'm not crazy. And that's really all I gotta say about Mike, Lou, and Og. It's a decent show, and it's entertaining to watch, but only for a certain period of time. At least to me. I can totally see how people would love this show, but I can also see how people can and were bored to tears by it. That's why it got canceled. Honestly, I think it really didn't belong on Cartoon Network because of all of its peers. It was not going to blend in with the likes of Billy and Mandy or Ed, Edd and Eddy. It wouldn't have fit well on Nickelodeon too, that's for sure. So maybe like PBS or Disney Channel? I don't know, but we can't look at what could have been, we have to look at what is. And it's that Mike Luenog is something. Do I recommend you check it out? If you can find it, yeah. Episodes of this show are very hard to find. But I think it's worth checking out at least once, maybe twice. And hey, if you like it, that's great. If not, well, at least you gave it a chance. Or hey, maybe you'll be like me where you're kind of yo-yoing in between the two sides because you can't quite tell what you think of it, but you can tell why you think what you think even though you don't know what it is. Just like the title says, it's complicated. How many times have I said that in this video? I honestly don't know. But either way, whether you think you're gonna like it, hate it, or be in between, I encourage you to take a little trip to the island where nobody goes. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. Have you seen Mike Luenog? Do you even remember Mike Luenog? What do you think of it if you have seen it? Comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time.